It is a workload not that many of us understand. The life of a state lawmaker is not as easy as you may think. Hi, welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. We are in the state capitol. I'm Beverly Weaver, and we are chatting with Representative Justin Everett from Jefferson County. Thanks for being with us, Representative.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we want to talk a little bit about the experience of being a state lawmaker. You're in your second year, first term. Was this job something you thought it would be when you first ran for office? Is this what you expected?
It's absolutely not what I expected whatsoever. We were pitched as this was a part-time legislature since we meet for 5 months a year, but it's actually a full-time job between campaigning, the amount of people that actually want to meet with you in different meetings and so on and so forth, and also just prepping for the session, for the upcoming session. So we're looking at, I think this year between 500 and 700 bills that I'll have to review if I'm doing my job.
Right.
And I'll end up getting maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night just so I can keep up and read the bills. It's one of those basic requirements, I think, of just doing your job and being a good state rep.
Right, and being efficient at it. In terms of the committees that you serve on, you have some pretty heavy-hitting committees: public health, education, transportation, and energy. So really what you're looking at is such a, I would imagine, wide range of bills pertaining to any one of those subjects. How do you filter all that when you're looking at that legislation?
It's triage. I mean, you just, as it comes, you have to deal with it. And you have to be pretty well versed in policy to be successful. A lot of the issues that come up, I mean, depending on your background, you might be somewhat in tune with what's going on, but at the same time, sometimes you need to do that research on top of just reading the bills and understanding it.
Yeah.
I have a law degree and a master's in business administration, so I look at it from a financial perspective and also from a legal perspective, and at least in the legalese, I'm able to probably better understand than a lot of the other people in the building that don't have that background.
Right, right.
But it's still, a challenge, a daily challenge, especially while we're in session, to make sure that you're up to date. And you want to make sure you're representing the people and you're voting the right way and representing your district.
Yeah. Talk about the difference, Justin, between federal representatives and state level, because I think a lot of people see you and they say congressman, or they don't understand the difference between representing in Washington and representing here at the State House. What's the difference?
Yeah, we draft and vote on state laws. The only thing that affects the state of Colorado at the federal level, it's federal. So obviously it can still affect the state of Colorado, but it's at a whole different level. But people just automatically, a lot of people automatically assume that you're a congressman when you were just a state rep. We represent a much smaller district that only focuses on state issues.
Yeah, and in terms of the legislation that you're reviewing, are there things that you're finding that for this session in particular will be more difficult subjects? Are there things that you feel like have to be addressed pretty quick?
Education reform is always a big issue that comes down the pike. I'm on the education committee, but there's a battle onto, where our philosophy is coming from and which direction we want to go with education. Transportation and energy is another committee I'm on, so the oil and gas issue, whether it's hydraulic fracturing and so on and so forth. We have some of the toughest regulations that applies to oil and gas in the nation, and also some of the highest fines and more inspectors per capita, I believe, than any place in the nation. So that needs to be addressed because it's killing jobs here in Colorado.
It seems like there's always a hot button issue that you have to deal with. Like you said, triage, you got to deal with the most thing that is most in front of you. What do you think the most important thing to accomplish this session is?
Well, ideally we'd roll back the gun laws, but that's not going to happen with the current makeup of the legislature. I think that there may be a move, much like last session, to take away our gun rights, going through the mental health route, which would probably come through one of my committees since I'm on public health.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a big challenge. And looking at just poll numbers, for example, it's not playing well for the other side. So I'll be curious to see how this plays out over the next couple of months.
All right, we've run out of time, but Representative Justin Everett, thanks so much for being with us.
All right, thank you for having me.
And thanks for watching Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Beverly Weaver.